folks. Grab yourselves a coffee. We're going to be responding to some Ripple FUD in today's session. I appreciate everyone for joining me today. We're going to be responding to Filthy Quant on TikTok is his name. And this gentleman made a video explaining why he thinks that Ripple will fail and why Ripple is a house of cards. Now, with all due respect to this gentleman, I think he's a good guy. I'm sure he's just trying to provide educational content for the community like myself. But this is the duty, this is the calling that we have, bringing the truth not only to TikTok, but to YouTube here as well. So we're going to get this session fired up and we're going to respond to this gentleman. And, in this video, he is talking about Ripple, not XRP. But of course, we know and we understand that Ripple has said that XRP is the heartbeat of Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse making that statement in the past. And we know that their goal is very simple, to make XRP a world reserve currency that is as liquid as a G10 currency. And XRP is Ripple's strategic weapon. So the two are not one in the same, but we understand the goals of Ripple. And, I have a little different take on the situation here in his analysis of Ripple's business model. He brings up why he thinks the founders are shady, as specifically talking about Jed McCaleb. And then he talks about why their business model will fail. So we're going to address this full video here for you guys. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. But like I said, with all due respect to this gentleman, I'm sure he's a decent guy. But we're just going to explain why I think that he missed. And we're going to dissect and destroy every single argument that he tried making in that video. So let's have some fun with it. I appreciate all of you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you guys please smash that thumbs up if you appreciate this response video. I think I've set up my Streamlabs here. So I got this scene is titled TikTok reaction. So the TikTok bros better watch out, because now we got the setup ready. We're going to be ready to do more response videos, which I think are going to be a lot of fun. And so smash that thumbs up if you guys want to see more of these content. Let's get it rolling, guys. Thank you so much.
Let's talk about Ripple and why I think it's a giant house of cards and is going to fail. Now, this is going to be a very long video, so get some popcorn. I'm going to break this video into 3 categories. One, talking about the founders. The second, talking about their business model. And lastly, talking about whether or not they're actually going to replace Swift, what Swift is, and how it actually works. And for those of you new here, I'm a professional quantitative researcher, and I'm also a portfolio manager in systematic portfolios. All right, let's...
Okay, so first off, right there, we got his story. We understand he's a quant guy, works for a hedge fund or something like that. So let's just take his story and run with it, okay? His background aside, I'm just going to go and we're just going to pick apart his analysis of Ripple, and we'll run with his story that he's a respectable guy who understands what he's talking about. We'll just run with that, okay? For the purpose of this video.
Let's go back to the beginning. So when Ripple was founded, it was done by a guy called Jed and a couple of other guys. Now, Jed has a pretty shady history. The guy founded Mt. Gox as well, and we all know how that worked out. And on top of this, initially in the beginning of Ripple, he sold a bunch of tokens and then dipped. On top of this,
first off, right there, we're talking about Jed McCaleb, a guy who's literally been out of the company for 10 years, dang near. Like, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of when Jed McCaleb left the company. So I don't really understand why this would be relevant to Ripple's business operations today, why a bank or financial institution would be interested in working with Ripple, knowing that a guy who was literally at the company for 8 months. I went back and looked, and he left in June of 2013 after he started at Ripple in 2012. So for those of you who don't know, Jed McCaleb did create the XRP ledger with David Schwartz and Arthur Brito. Then he went on and proceeded to found Ripple. Okay, and then that was in September of 2012, but he was only there for about 8 months before he left in June of 2013. So why that has any relevance to today's business operations of Ripple, I don't know. I don't know why this guy has chosen to make this such a key point on why he thinks the Ripple's a house of cards, why it's going to fail. And then he's about to go in and explain, how Ripple controls a lot of XRP and how Jed McCaleb has dumped a bunch of XRP. But please remember that Jed McCaleb is the only founder that has been dumping XRP consistently. And we know why he did it. He was trying to separate himself from Ripple. He was trying to separate himself from XRP. What that has to do with today's business operations, in my mind, is nothing. Has nothing to do, has no relevance, but nonetheless, he wants to pick apart the shady founders of Ripple as if that has something to do with business operations 10 years later.
most of XRP is actually controlled by Ripple. One of the key people that works in Ripple, Ken Kernson, he's on the advisory board. He had to resign because of cybersecurity crimes. Doesn't look too great here. So
completely random point bringing up Ken Kernson, who, yes, he was charged with cyber stalking. There's a little bit of crimes there, right? But Ken Kernson was the relation, the insider who got Ripple connection to the White House with Trump. So basically, Ken Kernson was friends with Jared Kushner, who, side note, is someone that I've never trusted. Many of us in the community have never trusted Jared Kushner. But nonetheless, that was a relationship that Ripple had, kind of an inside relation with Trump's White House, okay? But the relevance of that has nothing to do with today's business operations, right? One board member getting charged with a crime. What does that have to do? Is a bank or financial institution really going to be looking at that? But nonetheless, he wants to pick on, Ken Kernson and the cyber stalking crime that he committed or whatever. And then Jed McCaleb, like we said, someone who's been out of the company for nearly a decade, okay?
One of the founders basically dumped tokens on retail investors, then dipped, and on top of that, key people within the organization keep getting charged with crimes. Let's move on to the business.
Okay, we got to stop him right there once again. It was not the founders, plural. It was one. It was Jed McCaleb, was the exclusive founder that's been dumping XRP. So we got to get our facts straight. I mean, we're literally 20 seconds into this video, and it's just like, what are we talking about, bro? You're acting like all of the founders of XRP have been dumping their XRP. It's the completely opposite, right? We understand that these guys, yes, they owned a large portion of XRP. A lot of them still own it today. Okay. Now, no, some people didn't like the fact that the founders had so much XRP, right? But I believe that Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, these guys are righteous custodians and people that believe in the XRP ledger. Have they maybe sold off some XRP here and there to fund their lifestyle, to, take some profits? I'm sure they have, and that's fine. Right? They created revolutionary technology. They created a fantastic business. They're working on putting a dent in the universe and solving trillion-dollar problems. It's okay to pay yourself, right? That's not a problem. But nonetheless, here, once again, he's talking about how these shady founders, right? That's so farther from the truth. And to say that they've been getting in trouble with the law, that is not true either. That is not true either. One board member got in trouble with the law, Ken Kernson, okay? And he was later pardoned by Trump, but it's the side point.
Model. Now, funny enough, Ripple actually admits this on their website. You can see the sources here. They say that Ripple doesn't make any money from their actual clients. They make money through XRP sales. They even admitted that they're not going to be cash flow positive without XRP sales. That's a pretty big red flag. Which kind of begs the question, how are they getting clients and why are they trying to get them if they're not earning any money from them? And the answer is pretty simple, right? So let's look at their actual incentive programs here. So Ripple actually offers a 50% to 300% cost coverage for every single client. This basically means Ripple will cover the cost of being able to sign up to their platform, and then they'll pay you to use it. So let's talk about some examples. In 2019, Western Union, one of their clients, or Ripple, admitted that they were using the platform, but will not continue to do so.
Okay. Sorry. I let him go too far before I needed to cut him off again. First off, on the business model, okay. Many fintech startups aren't cash flow positive for a long time, right? This is startup culture in Silicon Valley. Fintechs, a lot of them go without running cash flow positive for a while. But let's talk about why Ripple is not quote unquote cash flow positive, okay, without XRP sales, according to Brad Garlinghouse. First off, Ripple has thrown down $100 million on a battle against the SEC. So that's one line item expense on Ripple's balance sheet is 100 million big ones to fight the SEC against a fraudulent case against the SEC, right? Next, they have spent and they right now are running a $250 million NFT creator fund for the XRP ledger. So they continue to pour hundreds of millions of dollars back into the ecosystem. Right, so this guy wants to talk about how they're not cash flow positive without sales of XRP. They continue to dump profits and they continue to invest in the XRP ledger ecosystem, which is what we want to see. Also, They have invested in their team. They have some of the best engineers, some of the best developers, and some of the best people are working at Ripple. You guys see the people that not only are joining their board, but the people that they're hiring and the amount of money that they're shelling out to get those team members. They don't get the team members for free, right? You got to shell out some money to get the biggest and best players, the biggest and best developers in the world to join your team. Then on top of that, we understand that Ripple is now sitting on over $1 billion cash, right? So this guy says that they're not, cash flow positive. Yeah, that's kind of just an accounting nuance, really, because when we look at the real situation, right, they spent $100 million battling the SEC. Who else in the crypto space even has $100 million to pay their lawyers against the SEC? Not many people. Who is doing $250 million NFT creator funds? Nobody. And when Ripple announced that $250 million creator fund, there was no one else that had done a larger creator fund for NFTs in the whole crypto space. The one person that did come out with a bigger fund was Galaxy Digital, ran by Mike Novogratz. I forget how much their fund was for, but nonetheless, nobody else in the space has thrown down this much money for just NFTs within their ecosystem. Okay. And then now we know that Brad Garlinghouse has told us that they're sitting on over $1 billion cash ready to go acquire assets, go acquire companies that can help them actually grow. So they're just continuing to pile back into the XRP ecosystem, pile back into their business, into their company, into their team. And that's what you want to see, right? This is part of growing rapidly. Okay. Now, we understand that Ripple's in a position here. They said they are looking at acquisitions, and this is during a recession and during a crypto bloodbath when the rest of the space is going into hiding. Ripple's in a position to go on the attack. And we understand he's going to go in here, and he talks about how Ripple pays sometimes 50% or even basically is paying for the cost of onboarding their clients, okay? Now, what Ripple has been doing is they have been giving incentives for their clients to use, trial, and adopt XRP, which is what we want. We want to make it easy for these banks and financial institutions to adopt XRP, to adopt our crypto. While the rest of the space can't even get a real partnership, can't even get a real pilot, is nowhere to be seen when it comes to the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Euro Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, nowhere to be found, right? We have Ripple participating in all of those projects and giving an incentive. They have the ability to afford to be able to give an incentive, give a deal to their clients, banks, financial institutions to get them to use XRP. That's only going to bring on further adoption. This is what we want. Now, we understand Ripple has told us that they get clients on board with RippleNet, which is the technology that does not use XRP, right? They get them on board with RippleNet. They show them how well they can benefit by just getting on RippleNet, but then they show them the secret sauce, which is XRP. Now, the advantages of XRP is obviously you get on-demand liquidity, you get cost savings, and you're able to free up and you no longer have to pre-fund accounts. So this solves a $30 trillion Nostro Vostro account problem where banks have to pre-fund accounts so that they know that they can trade with each other. $30 trillion of locked up capital that gets freed as soon as institutions decide to use XRP. Now, you don't get that freed up until you start to use XRP. So he's talking about there's no incentives, right? How are they getting these clients? Well, they're getting them on board with RippleNet, which, you get some savings, you get some benefit. It makes it easier to do your cross-border transactions. But then when you unlock the power of XRP, you get additional cost savings. Your transactions are even cheaper. You get liquidity on demand, and you no longer have to pre-fund your accounts. So you're going to lock up trillions of dollars that your bank has to have sitting idle in an account just so that you and the other bank that you're corresponding with can trust each other. That's a massive problem that's getting solved right here. So this is freeing up additional capital that these banks and financial institutions can then reinvest, can then provide other services to their clients, bring in additional forms of revenue. Now, let's move on over. He's going to talk about this Western Union partnership and what has happened with some of these other Ripple partners, okay?
around 5 times more expensive to the systems they currently have. And this is after Western Union, one of their clients, or Ripple, admitted that they were using the platform, but will not continue to do so because it's actually around 5 times more expensive to the systems they currently have. And this is after being subsidized. In 2020, the Financial Times reported that MoneyGram, one of the biggest...
Okay, let's stop them right there. Check this out, folks. I'm going to show you guys this article right here. Western Union pilot too small to get results from Ripple. So this guy is just headline reading with his bias, telling you that this partnership didn't work, and he's just reading off the headline from the Western Union guy who said that there was no savings. So let's get on into this, okay? This is the CEO of Western Union who said, quote, "We are always criticized that Western Union is not cost efficient, blah, blah, blah. But we did not see that part of the efficiency yet during our tests. The practical matter is still too expensive. But let's read between the lines. Let's go past your bias. Let's go past reading just the headlines and actually look at this partnership in this pilot that they ran. The loss of Western Union as a client could be a major setback for Ripple, but the company has pointed out that the Western Union test case is too small to make any conclusive judgments. In fact, Western Union has only tried XRP in 10 transfers and only between US dollars and Mexican pesos. Ripple's senior vice president of product, Ashish Birla, said the pilot was far too small to see significant results, adding that, quote, "If they were to move volume at scale, then maybe you would see something. But with 10, it's not surprising that they're not seeing cost savings. They do millions of transactions a month, and I'm not surprised that with 10 transactions, it didn't have earth-shattering results." Exactly, folks. It's an absolute joke here that Western Union's saying that it didn't work when we see right here that that is because they literally only did a pilot with 10 transactions. Obviously, you're not going to see results by doing that. Okay. And now I'm going to add my further speculation. My opinion is that 10 transactions on the XRP ledger was enough for them to say, oh shit, this actually does work. This actually works really well. Okay. But the CEO has his incentives. They make money off this fees. They make money off of that friction. So this obviously is a threat to Western Union's fees, to their whole business model. So he probably ran a test for 10 transactions and said, oh shit, this does work way better, right? But he didn't want to admit it. And then they canceled the partnership, quote unquote, cancel the partnership. And then this is where they go, this is where banks and financial institutions go and they do backroom deals with Ripple. Hey, this actually worked really well. How do we acquire 1 billion XRP? But that's just my speculation. So let me just make that point. That is just my speculation. Okay, but we can see right here from Ashish Birla, it's a joke. The pilot the Western Union ran was a joke. You are not going to see significant results by running 10 test transactions using XRP. But once again, this guy has his bias. He's already come up with his opinion, and then he just goes and reads headlines and then tells you that it was a failed partnership with Western Union. No. And then now he's going to address the MoneyGram partnership, which we understand was a very successful test. And the only reason why this partnership ended is because Ripple got sued by the SEC. Literally, the partnership with MoneyGram ended the same month that the SEC filed the lawsuit. Check this out, folks.
His partnerships with Ripple admitted to basically having gotten free services from Ripple for their actual technology. They were paid to use it in the tune of about $50 million. So Ripple's business model involves getting new clients on board, subsidizing their entire cost through XRP sales, making the services completely free for them to use. They get some good marketing out of it. XRP might increase in price, then they sell more tokens and repeat the process. I wonder which other company did that. Now, this part of the video is probably the most important because
see right there, and then just making that comparison to FTX is completely irresponsible. To try to make that relate to what FTX did, completely irresponsible, filthy quant. Please, what are you talking about? A firm that gambled billions of their clients' money versus Ripple, who is literally just giving an incentive for banks and financial institutions to use their product. Completely different scenario. And in fact, that to me is a good sign that they can afford to do so. Many other crypto firms are probably jealous that they aren't in a similar financial position to be able to do so. Completely irresponsible to compare FTX to Ripple. Now, like I said, The pilot with Western Union, way too small to yield results. The pilot with MoneyGram, an incredibly successful test. Now, obviously, Ripple did give incentives, and they have been given incentives, and they're going to continue to give incentives. That's what we want. We don't want XRP to just be used by me and you, Joe Blow. We want banks and financial institutions settling trillions of dollars. Now, MoneyGram was a fantastic test. Fantastic test. And the partnership only ended, quote unquote, ended on paper. And Brad Garlinghouse at the time did say that it could be revisited in the future. But it only ended literally the same month that the SEC, the fraudulent SEC Ripple lawsuit was filed. Okay. But like I said, Ripple is making it easy for financial institutions to adopt crypto. Comparing that to FTX is completely irresponsible, and there is no correlation. And as we mentioned, Ripple might even buy FTX assets. The article, it read that Ripple is ready to pick over the carcass of FTX. I forget what news article put that out, but literally the article read, Ripple ready to pick over the carcass of FTX. And this guy wants to compare Ripple to FTX. It's a completely different scenario. Not even close. Ripple is not gambling with anybody's funds. They're not stealing client money. No. They're giving incentives to banks and financial institutions to use their product to further crypto adoption. Well, the rest of the space can't even get a meeting or get these banks or financial institutions to pick up the phone. And you want to compare that to FTX? That's completely irresponsible. You got to bring that back. You got to bring that back. Now, if you want to debate the rest of these points that I'm making in this video, that's fine. But bring that back. If you want to save your reputation, you're going to bring back that point, filthy quant. How ridiculous and embarrassing. And this is why I can't even talk with you crypto bros. Just lies, bro. What conversation are we having? Incredible. Incredibly irresponsible. Ripple in a completely different situation than the rest of the space while these guys are going bankrupt, bust, and making a run like a thief in the night. Ripple is the most transparent in the space. And the only thing that you have to say about the shady founder is Jed McCaleb, the one guy who left the company 10 years ago. What are you talking about? Get your game up. Golly, man. So irresponsible, so misleading. Do the right thing and pull back that statement. I don't care what your opinion is on Ripple and the rest of what I'm talking about, but for saving your reputation, pull back that statement. Pull back and say that it was wrong and irresponsible to compare FTX to Ripple. Unbelievable. Let's continue on. Now he's going to go in and talk about Swift, which, once again, this is base level understanding for most of the people out here that don't understand that cross-border payments was a test. We're going to see derivatives. We're going to say the tokenization of the whole internet of value running on the XRP ledger. This is not just about cross-border payments. And anybody who's done their research understands that. But you got base level understanding coming from guys like this who don't have any idea really what they're talking about when it comes to Ripple XRP, who want to say that the one use case, all we're trying to do is cross-border payments. No, you're completely wrong. Ripple's ready to settle derivatives, which is the real market, quadrillions of dollars in value over there in derivatives. We're ready to settle securities. We're ready to tokenize the whole internet of value. Okay, commodities, real estate, it's all getting tokenized. Now you're seeing NFTs. Now you're seeing smart contracts. This is not just about cross-border payments, but for the sake of this video, let's let you make your statements about why we're not going to replace Swift or whatever. Let me continue on before I could just continue ranting too long. Here we go.
This is the argument I hear the most online, which is Ripple is going to replace Swift, and that's going to increase the price of XRP. So let's break this one down. Funny enough, a lot of people online get this wrong, but Swift doesn't actually settle anything. They're literally just the messaging layer between banks and clearinghouses. And this particular clearinghouse, which is the biggest...
We all understand that. We understand that Swift is only messaging. That's the problem. Don't you get it? That's the problem. With XRP and ISO 222 standard, you have payment, data-rich payments. Okay? So it's not just messaging, it's settlement, and it has all of the data attached to that payment as well. This is the problem that we're trying to solve. Yes, we all get this. We all understand that Swift does messaging. It's a messaging standard from the 70s. That's the problem. XRP is the solution. And yes, we understand these clearinghouses do the actual payments, do the actual clearing, and they do, trillions of dollars daily, which our blockchain is actually ready to scale up and handle those trillions of dollars in payments daily.
Biggest one is called CHAPS. And the reason it's structured like this is because every single major institution has to deal with something called counterparty risk. You just can't trust the other person on the other end to facilitate your transaction, so you go to a third-party clearinghouse like CHAPS. So why would a bank ever use Ripple as the messaging layer in this to replace Swift if they have such a shady history with their founders and a shady business model? And the whole name of the game is to reduce counterparty risk. If anything, this would just increase it. And the obvious thing here is that Ripple is a lot faster, it removes a lot of bureaucracy, and that is why it's probably going to be used. And that makes complete sense, right? But think about this. You don't need to use XRP to use the Ripple tech. It doesn't even show up in their product line. In fact, it only used to show up in something called their xrpl product line, which is now called their on-demand liquidity. But it's not even going to be used there by these banks because of counterparty risk problems. And the way Ripple has kind of gone around...
Okay, that's enough. We got to stop them right there. Once again, the reason why you're going to use XRP is because it is ISO 222 messaging, okay? So you have the payment data-rich payments, and then you have instantaneous settlement, and you remove all the risk. So all of the issues and problems that he just mentioned, you literally solve by using XRP. And then he brings up the shady founder, their shady business model. What are you talking about, bro? That's your opinion. Your opinion of a founder who left the company 10 years ago, and he no longer owns any XRP. He has no relevance to today's conversation, to today's XRP, to today's Ripple business model. What are you talking about? And all of the problems that you just mentioned get solved by using XRP. And yes, we understand Ripple used to have all sorts of products. Today's situation is you have RippleNet clients and you have on-demand liquidity clients. 75%, give or take, of RippleNet clients are not settling with XRP, not using on-demand liquidity. Most of that is because they don't have regulatory clarity. As soon as they have regulatory clarity within their jurisdiction, they're going to flip the switch. They're going to start using XRP for the reasons that we mentioned before. The cost saving, freeing up the dormant capital, right? And this is the problem. People get so confused here on RippleNet and on-demand liquidity. And this is why I think Ripple made it so simple with their whole suite of offerings there, is that you have now just over 400 banks and financial institutions that are on RippleNet, and about 25% of those are using on-demand liquidity XRP. So they got rid of XCurrent, XVIA, XRapid, and now it's basically RippleNet, which doesn't settle with XRP, and then it's on-demand liquidity, which settles with XRP. And anybody who can, is, and will settle with XRP because the benefits definitely are there. And we're seeing it. You guys are seeing it with Tranglo. You guys are seeing it with all of these other institutions. The CEO of SBI Holdings saying that every bank in Japan is going to use XRP on the back end, right? Anybody, say if they're in Japan, if they're in Singapore, if they're in any of these other countries, we just saw on-demand liquidity fire up in France, Sweden, Brazil. The largest exchange in Latin America, Bitso. These guys are showing you, they're basically bragging about the advantages of using XRP and on-demand liquidity. They're growing market share. The largest exchange right there in Latin America, bragging about being able to use on-demand liquidity XRP. One of the largest purchasers of XRP from Ripple is Bitso and these on-demand liquidity partners, which is exclusively where Ripple has been selling that XRP to. It's only going to on-demand liquidity partners. Now let's continue on. Okay, you don't have to hold XRP to use HODL. Ripple offers line of credit, not shady, but the most transparent. And I argue that this is a great revenue model. Great revenue model. You get them on board, You show them the technology, then you show them the secret sauce with XRP, and then you get them to come to you and say, hey, Ripple, Brad, team, how do we acquire 1 billion XRP? Please. We're willing. Can you give us a little bit of a discount if we buy 1 billion XRP? How much XRP do we need to buy to get a little bit more of a discount? Please, Brad, can you help us out? And this is where Brad and team says, yes, absolutely. And this is why all of these deals are under NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and they can't talk about them. Okay? Let's continue on.
This to try and incentivize companies to use XRP is to provide discounts to them if they use it. Now this brings me on to the next topic, which is why would they even use it with the discounts? Because it's just a bridge asset, which means you have to hold it on your balance sheets in order to transact with it. What bank would ever underwrite a cryptocurrency on their balance sheets with this much shady behavior?
Okay, so like I just said, once again, not shady behavior, and you don't need to actually hold XRP. Ripple has line of credit. They have other liquidity hub where you can tap into the liquidity hub and you don't even need to use XRP. So basically, I mean, Ripple has made it so seamless, so easy to use their technology to use XRP.
Behavior and such a poor revenue model. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, let's pretend like you're one of these.
Once again, your opinion on that being a poor revenue model. I argue that this is a great revenue model. You increase adoption and you control the supply of XRP. What could go wrong? You have complete control. You've made it so easy to onboard the largest banks and financial institutions that's going to increase the amount of liquidity and value running on the XRP ledger, and you happen to hold a ton of it. And you get to control where it's going to go. Whether you want to sit on some, whether you want to give some to this institution, you have the control. That's a fantastic business model, in my opinion. But feel free to share your opinion about why that's a shady and a poor business model. Go ahead.
These banks, right? You have to explain to your shareholders that you're using XRP to facilitate international payments of clients' money on a token that has been dumped by one of the founders who then bailed through a company that has incredibly shady behavior and is always in trouble with laws. And on top of this, the only argument for you ever using this is because it's fast and you get a discount. Does that...
That is so ridiculous. Once again, he's just harping on always in trouble with the law. How stupid of a statement. One, we had a settlement with FinCEN back in 2015 where XRP was deemed a virtual currency. So we have clarity. Ripple has filed money transmitter licenses, money service businesses. They comply with BSA, Banking Secrecy Act, Bank Secrecy Act, AML, which is anti-money laundering laws, and KYC. So what are you talking about? Shady business practices. What do you mean? Of course, you get to go to your shareholders and tell them, hey, we're going to be able to free up a bunch of dormant capital by using this little XRP. We're going to have a bunch of cost savings, right? And we have on-demand liquidity. That's a great incentive. That's a great thing to tell your shareholders. And in fact, look at what Tranglo, look at what Bitso, look at what all these other institutions that have the ability to use XRP are telling their shareholders. They're bragging about the competitive advantages that they have by using XRP.
Sound right to you? Now, I have been hating on Ripple quite a lot here in this video, but let's talk about the positives. Ripple's technology does solve a problem, right?
By the way, I want to remind everyone that Ripple never did an IPO. Ripple never did an IPO. They already settled with FinCEN back in 2015. Right? They're in just a fraudulent staged lawsuit with the SEC and a Gary Gensler and a completely corrupt SEC. So what are you talking about? They're always in trouble with the law. No, they're not. And they had one guy that dumped tokens. The fact that he keeps on bringing that up is such a stupid argument. Completely irrelevant to the discussion today. Unbelievable. You got to get your game up, my friend. Come on.
International payments are clunky, they take a long time, and they're very slow, and Ripple's tech will solve that problem. But personally, I just don't see this happening because of the shady behavior of their founders, their horrible history with regulators, the horrible business model they have, which is just completely circular and very similar to FTX. I just don't see this working out for them. And the thing...
Horrible history with regulators, one of the only crypto firms to set up an office in DC. One of the only crypto companies that's filed money transmitter licenses, money service businesses. They comply with the BSA, AML, KYC. They did no IPO. They're literally had conversations with the SEC, with Jay Clayton, right? They basically have two former SEC officials on their legal defense against the SEC. What are you talking about, bro? Come on.
Thing is, even if you're one of these banks that want to facilitate super fast payments and want to have this discount and use the system that Ripple is providing, why wouldn't you just wait for CBDCs, where it's basically riskless? Your counterparty is the central bank. Why would you use Ripple? It doesn't make any sense.
Because you need a bridge currency. How stupid can these guys get? The whole reason why we're in a currency war and people are dying across this country is because the private banking cartel is willing to destroy us to defend their power. Don't you get it? Wait for a CBDC? You still need a bridge currency, brother. Get caught up to speed, please. Before you come on here and act like a quant smart guy. What are we fighting wars for decades for? The US dollar power, right? Currency wars. All wars are banker wars. And what solves that? A bridge currency that removes trust from everybody, removes trust from every transaction. What are you talking about? I have had it with this guy.
Don't think this business model is going to last. And that's why I think Ripple is a giant house of cards. Let's talk about Ripple and why I think...
Okay, so once again, a horrible business model while they experience record on-demand liquidity growth. 1 billion cash, which, as we said, Ripple didn't gamble with customer funds. It is nothing like FTX. CBDCs still need a bridge currency, so even in the new system where 99% of cryptos are going to go away, we understand that we still need the use case of a bridge currency. You still need XRP. Okay? And then, once again, XRP removes the trust from everyone involved in the transaction. The whole reason why we're at war, why we're having so much struggle on our planet today is because of this US dollar and the power of the private central banks that don't want to give it up. Now, obviously, they want to roll out their CBDCs. They got their whole plan. That's a whole other different conversation. But this guy missed literally on every single point in this video. And as you can see, it is frustrating to deal with this, to have these conversations that are so basic and fundamental and easy to do research on. You know, he brings up the Western Union partnership. Oh, it's a failed partnership. He reads the headline. Brother, it took me 5 seconds to go Google the Western Union partnership, go look at the real facts, and see that they only piloted 10 transactions. 10 test transactions was the pilot. That's not a real pilot, right? That's not a failed pilot. That's not a failed partnership. And it's still much better than what the rest of the space is doing. And so for him to call Ripple a house of cards, to say that Ripple was going to fail, that the business model's not a good business model, that the founders are shady, I think is, at best just missing the point. But at worst, like I said, it's completely irresponsible to compare Ripple to FTX. Completely irresponsible to your viewers, to everyone that you're trying to provide educational content for, and you got to do better. You got to do better. You missed on every single point as we displayed here in this video. And so try again. Try again. Now, your opinion on Ripple really just doesn't matter anyways. But like I said, it's misinformation. So, this is what we're up against. We're up against good guys who just miss it, are just providing misinformation with good intentions. They're confused. They're just trying to figure it out. They come from a quant background. They're too smart for their own good, and they don't understand real business. And then we just have downright liars, which, with all due respect, this guy, I don't think he's a liar. I don't think he's a paid shill. I don't think that he has alternative agendas or incentives, but you missed on every single point. So this is what we got to do. We got to set the record straight. We got to provide truth for the people. And as we did right here, once again, and we're going to continue to do, we will dissect and destroy anybody who tries to bring false claims against Ripple and XRP, because we think that this is a fantastic opportunity for us to invest in technology that will be adopted for the new financial system. It's very simple. And we believe and we see that Ripple, Brad, and team is one of the most transparent actors in the space. Now, are these guys, have they never committed a sin, and are they on the stairway to heaven? I don't know. Okay, but we can see that they're the most transparent in the space. And then from a business model perspective, where this guy tries to evaluate the company, we see record on-demand liquidity growth year over year, That's a decent business model. Seems to be working out pretty well. The ability to invest $250 million in the ecosystem, just in NFTs alone. Just in NFTs alone. That's not including all the other grants, all the other programs, all the other charity work that Ripple does. Not including the $100 million that they've had to throw away fighting the SEC in this fraudulent SEC Ripple lawsuit. And they're sitting on $1 billion cash in the middle of a recession, bear market, and sacrifice of the whole cryptocurrency space. They are sitting over top of the carcass of FTX, trying to figure out, are any of these assets worth picking up? You know, maybe we can get some of their XRP. What else are they sitting on that might be worth our time? That's the position that they're in, right? And so, once again, guys, we're just trying to do our best to respectfully bring the truth and, clarify why some of these guys just missed the point so far. And like I said, good guys, they're trying, they're confused, but you can't miss and you can't make statements comparing Ripple to FTX. That is completely irresponsible. That's what gets me fired up. That's what maybe gets a little bit of a sweat going and gets me heated, because that's just irresponsible. And we got to do better. You got to do better for your community, right? And whether or not we agree on Ripple XRP, whether or not you want to invest, that's not what we're here to discuss. But you cannot come on here and make statements like that. You cannot come on and tell people that we need to value XRP, value Ripple's business model based off of a founder that left the company 10 years ago and no longer has anything to do with XRP or Ripple. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this session. We're going to continue to do this. I wasn't supposed to get this heated in this session, but when we're up against this, it is frustrating, and it's been a nonstop battle, 2 years now. And because of the situation, because we still have so many new people here that we're trying to bring the truth to, this has forced me to come back to the basics, come back to the fundamentals with XRP and Ripple so that I can explain to the new people here that come across guys' content like this, which these guys love making videos about XRP because it does way better than the rest of their content that nobody cares about, nobody's watching. So they make an XRP hate video, they make some video like this that gets decent amount of views, they get a little bit of attention, but we got to clarify. We got to set the record straight, and you guys can enjoy the views, you can enjoy the moment, but you guys better be prepared because like I said, we got the TikTok reaction scene set up here to go on Streamlabs. We're going to keep it coming, and we are going back to the basics so that we can bring people on board who are just trying to learn the truth. We got a lot of good people who are trying to figure out this space, and there's a lot of confusion, misinformation, misdirection, and then we just have downright shills and liars too. We no longer spend time on the shills and the liars. Those guys are going to go away. Those guys are already getting charged by the SEC and already have criminal cases being filed against them. So they're going to go away. That's good to see. But we still have a lot of these guys that just continue to add to the confusion, and that's what we want to cut through. We want to provide clarity to you guys. So if you have any further questions, drop them in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of this session, and we're going to continue to provide the truth about Ripple, XRP, and the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. I appreciate all of you guys so much, and we will see you in the next one. God bless you all. Thank you.